Hello everyone, my name is Eric Rolon. I am part of your Audio Loves community, and our fearless leader, Heather, has asked that we narrators answer a few questions just about the trade and kind of what inspired us to get going and fall in love with the audiobook world and the voiceover industry. So I'm here to do as just I said, answer some questions for you guys. So I hope you enjoy. All right, first question is, what inspired you to want to become a narrator? Honestly, what inspired me to want to become a narrator was a friend of ours back in Nashville. His name is Eric Stewart. He's also a phenomenally talented voice actor himself. He's been doing this, the better part of 30 years. He got his start in New York and made his way out to Nashville, where he now pursues pretty much a full-time in music as well as voiceover. And I met him through my wife, Kylie. And he was very, very supportive, very, very encouraging, as voice acting has been a career path that I've wanted to do for the past 10 years. And more so in the last 3 and 4 years has it really become a full-on, commitment, which has been awesome that we've had the opportunities to do the audiobooks for ACX and Audible. But yeah, he was very much the one who inspired both of us initially to get the ball rolling into ACX, find out what our voices could do, and then start to apply them to audiobooks. Let's see, who inspired you to become a voice actor / narrator? I have 2 big inspirations for who inspired me to become a voice actor. Number 1 is a gentleman named Steve Bloom. For any anime fans out there, he was the main character in the anime Cowboy Bebop, whose name was Spike Spiegel inside there. And I remember watching that anime when it came out back in 1998 and hearing his voice. It was this real rich, gravelly tone, but he had this swagger you could hear in his voice. Because you can hear when somebody smiles while they're talking, or if they're straight-faced when they're talking, you can hear the difference in sound. And he had such an incredible ability to change that dynamic sound in his voice so much that I'd find myself just listening to him and very seldom really paying attention to the story. I was primarily focused on what he sounded like, and his performance was bar none one of the best I've ever heard in an anime. And since there's been video games that have come out that he's also played a part in, and sorry, my cats are running around right now, but hearing that was a humongous inspiration. Really made me want to push all into voice acting. And then the other one who really, be careful you guys, the other one who really inspired me to become a voice actor, his name is Mr. Eric Vale, and he has been doing this again, much like Eric Stewart. He's been doing this a better part of 30 years as well. He does a lot of work in anime, he does commercials and such. You probably heard him on the Dave & Buster's TV commercials that you hear. That's his voice there, and he has been a humongous, just encouraging element through my own peregrinations into voice acting and acting alike. And as I said, that inspiration really gave me the push that I needed, as well as Kylie. It gave us both the push that we needed to move to Dallas, where we could apply ourselves more liberally in the voice acting community. So that is to answer that one. If you could have lunch with any person alive or dead, who would it be? Ooh, if I could have lunch with any person alive or dead, Ooh, I would probably have lunch with Winston Churchill, honestly. I really think I would. I don't know if any of you have seen the more recent 2 films that have been released of him, or seen him in The Crown, or read any of his writings, but the man was a cerebral stud, but he had a wisdom about him that, for his time, I felt was supremely uncommon. And some of the things that he says and writes in his books are so profound. I would love to sit and have tea and biscuits or scones or whatever it is with him and just pick his brain. I'd probably have to bring a pad of paper and a pen just so I wouldn't forget everything before I left. No, don't eat napkins. I'm sorry, my cat's gonna eat a napkin here. Let's see. How are you chosen for a role? Okay, this is a awesome little question, and good one at that. Thank you, Heather. Well, this applies for both Kylie and I. When we're doing audiobooks, the way we're chosen for a role is sometimes it's very easy the way we're chosen for a role. An author may hear a sample of us somewhere. They may purchase an audiobook that another author has done that we've recorded for, and they may reach out to us sometimes through our Eros audio page, or they may try and contact us directly through Facebook. And sometimes they'll say, "Hey, I have a project coming up. I really like your voice." Hey, you too. I really like your voices. You guys did a great job with this book. I'd love it if you would give this book a read, and we'll go from there. So sometimes they'll send us their audition for us, and we'll record that, fire that off to them, and then we'll hear back in a day or two. Sometimes, as the good Lord sees fit, they just offer us the gig, which is really awesome when that happens, because it takes an extra step of the process out. But if we don't just get given the books to read right away, then what we'll do is we'll go on to ACX. More Kylie will do this because she really knows how to navigate her way around there a bit better than I do. So she'll go into there and she'll scour through the books that are available to record for, and she'll find a couple that she really likes, and she may have read a bunch by that author already, so she'll come in and say, "Hey, there's an author that I really, really admire. I'd love to work with this person. Let's do a read for this." And actually, just a few minutes ago, we just did an audition for a new novel that is just hit ACX. And so what we'll do is typically they'll send us a script, or they'll have a script uploaded that we can read from. And that script is about, when it's all said and done, when everything is read and edited, it comes out to be around 5 minutes, which is a pretty good length of time to get a feel for somebody's voice, especially if you're doing duet narration. It's a perfect length of time to get a full understanding of their nuances, the subtleties, the way their pitch varies up and down, the way they interact. Because duet narration, it's kind of like an audio play. You're doing a response and then responding, and vice versa for your partner. So, Haru, don't eat the rubber band, please. Sorry, 1 second. I gotta grab this rubber band from my cat. Haru, no, give it back. No, Haru, come back. Haru, no, come here. Yeah. So sorry about that. I've got a rubber band and a napkin now. You guys drive me nuts. Anyway, where was I? Okay, so we'll read the sample script that they have provided for us, and then we'll say the first part may be Kylie, or the second part might be me. Usually, if it's a duet narration that they're looking for, they'll have one chapter for the girl, one chapter for the guy. And so she'll read all of her chapter. She'll leave cues for me to go back in and add my lines. Then I'll pop in behind her, add my lines. Then I'll read my section, and then I'll pop on out. I'll leave cues for her. She'll come right in behind me, add those cues. We'll edit it together and fire it off to the author. And then same kind of a thing. Usually we hear back within a day or two. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but that's how we go about actually getting chosen for a role. And then beyond that, there's a ton of other people that are sending in, which we're in competition with. So it's very much just a big open audition process, and we're always praying like crazy that we book the next one. Let's see. Do you have a recording routine? Yes, we do. Our recording routine is actually very similar to the way that we do our audition process. Usually Kylie will go in early in the morning, because typically we have our routine. This is how it usually breaks down. We record for 2 days and then do a big edit, and then record 2 days, do a big edit. We try and give ourselves the day off on Sunday because it's the Lord's Day, and because 6 days nonstop of audio can sometimes become a little bit grating. You got to give your voice a rest. So I have throat coat tea that I'll drink on that 7th day, or I'll have a Korean honey syrup that I get, which I'll take that, and that coats my throat and helps repair any damage that's been done. But to break down the routine that we have more specifically, usually in the mornings, since we'll have recorded over the weekend as well, say for Sunday, I'll have something to edit come Monday, typically. So as I said, Kylie will go in first and she'll record, and usually she does between 2 to 3 hours for a session. In the meantime, I'll be editing whatever book that we have that we've been working on for the last week or so. Then she'll pop out, I'll stop my editing, I'll go in behind her, and usually when she records, she's recording just the female chapters. I'll go in and add all my lines into those chapters that are needed. Then the next day, I'll go in, record all the guys' chapters, then she'll come in right behind me and she'll add in all those lines. So day 1, she'll go in first, day 2, I'll go in first, and then we switch. Then day 3, I'll take those 8 chapters. Usually we do between 4 and 6 chapters at a time. So I'll take either those 8 chapters or those 12 chapters, and then day 3, I'll just do a long edit. And usually it's about, just depending, sometimes it's about 4 to 5 hours of editing, if not longer. So it really, careful you guys, it really is a full-time gig that we do. And usually while I'm editing those chapters, she'll either work on another book that she's doing on her own, which I'll also be editing for, or else she'll spend her day writing, because as you guys well know, she is also an author herself. And then once we're done with all the reading and all the editing, then we'll go back through and I will export all those chapters that we've done into a single file, and I'll send them off to, or I'll give them to Kylie, she'll send them off to our author, and then they'll start kind of their vetting process. They'll go through and listen to the entire thing. They'll send us back usually a sheet or 2 of edits, and it's something like, hey, you reversed these 2 words here, or you mispronounced this one word here, or you said that person's name wrong, or you made this word plural, it's supposed to be singular, vice versa. Then we'll go right back through. We'll just do, sometimes it's 1 word you have to say, so we re-record that, place that into the chapter where it needs to be. And once those are all done, the book is ready to hit Audible. So we fire that back off to them, they get it uploaded, and then usually a week or 2 later, we get to announce to you guys, hey, such and such a book is now live up on Audible. So that's how that's done. Do you research accents for a role? Yes. We both absolutely do. Accents are a huge part of doing audiobooks, especially if you're working with an author like Pepper Winters. She loves to do a lot of really cool regions that her characters end up visiting. And throughout the course of the last few books that we've done with her, I've gotten to do a British accent, a Mediterranean accent, a French accent, even a Scottish accent. And with those, I have several different sets of dialect CDs that I listen to, done by a gentleman named Paul Meyer. And him and his colleagues are kind of at the forefront of training for accents and dialects, pretty much worldwide. They're of the best caliber. They have a separate website called Idea, where there are vocal samples of people from those regions just talking about their day. Usually they start off reading a small story, then they go and just talk about themselves, what they do, what their work life, home life is like. So you just hearing them, you're getting a sense of what they sound like. So out of all those dialects, say I have one that I'm not super versed in, I'll listen to that dialect and I will coach myself in speaking naturally, being able to read naturally and sound authentic. And I usually focus on a dialect for about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks before I consider myself fully comfortable and native sounding in that. Some of them are tougher than others, like British, RP, Australian, and Cockney. That's like a duck to water for me. The tougher ones for me would be German. French is a bit tougher. Even doing an Indian accent is a bit tougher as well. But we do absolutely love to research for those accents when we have to use those inside a role. And it's fun because you end up learning things about that native culture which you otherwise wouldn't know. How do you prepare for a dramatic scene? For me, when doing a dramatic scene, sometimes Kylie will let me know if she's gone in to read before me and it's a scene where both of us are having to really hit hard back and forth. She'll pop out and say, hey, just so you know, in this scene, there's a war going on, the guy, his partner just got shot, he's dragging this person back to the helicopter, they're trying to get out of here, so it's very intense, so just make sure you have that in mind. Other times, I just like to let the writing from that chapter, either just before a line that I've got going into it, or just after, inform the way I read. Because if a character's going to be surprised, I want that to sound authentic. So if it's a chapter where there's a lot of dialogue between 2 characters, I want to respond instinctually. So I won't read the chapter beforehand. I will go inside there, I'll find my cue that she's left me, and I'll listen to about the first 5 to 8 seconds before that cue. And usually that's enough information so I can go, okay, I should respond happy, or angry or sad or furious. And then that is what helps me kind of, I guess, get into the mindset of that dramatic role, if you will. Beyond that, as I said before, I don't pre-read the chapters. I don't pre-read the entire book at all because I like it to be authentic. On occasion, though, there will be a scene where it has to be done such and such a way, and Kylie and I will talk about that. Okay, it's got to be done this way, or it needs to be less, or if it's a flashback, you kind of have this far away sound in your voice, or a very robotic sound to your voice. And the preparation in that either comes on the fly or just very, very slight. Because if you overdo it, then you come out sounding completely rehearsed and it doesn't feel authentic. Where do you typically record your narration? We record in our closet. We are fortunate enough to have a small walk-in closet, which I have a very tiny desk inside there and a chair. And that serves as our booth because of all the clothing is around us in, I guess, 250 degrees. So that helps to dampen the sound inside there and kind of deaden the air. But beyond that, I have a small box that I lined with foam and set our microphone into, as well as a pop filter. So that itself is a little porta booth, and that deadens the air even further. So we're able to get studio quality sound just using our closet. And actually a lot of actors end up doing this as well. Not all of them will make a little porta booth like I've done, but I kind of wanted to go the extra mile because it really helps a lot, for us in particular, when the air conditioner kicks on right above the room. We're able to cut that sound out completely, which in the long run is so much more preferred, so you don't have this underlying going throughout the entire book. So we really try and pay hard attention to that. Let's see, where do you typically record? Oh, already said that one. Have you ever been recording a scene and messed up to the point where you had to stop or start over? Yes. Haru, what are you doing? You be nice. Oh, he's got a hair tie. Excellent. Sorry if you guys can hear him growling. Back when I first started doing audiobooks, I was so particular about my diction, the clarity with which I spoke, that if it wasn't just so perfect, I would just get mad at myself. And it was a bit of an overbearing on myself, by myself, because I was trying to be just so perfectionist in it, when really now it's so much easier and so much more preferred to just be legato with the way you talk and let it flow. But first starting off, there was a book we were working on. It was actually Somewhere to Begin by Mika Jolie. And there were a few times during that recording process where I would start a chapter and I would fumble over myself so many times within the first 2 or 3 minutes that I would just stop, erase the entire thing, start from the beginning. I think chapter 4 for that book, I believe it's chapter 4, killed me to the point that I think I started over 6 times for that particular chapter. And the chapter is only, I think, 10 minutes long. It took me almost 45 minutes to record it. It was a nightmare to do, but on occasion, as I said, you just get a line or you get a paragraph that just drives you nuts. And sometimes you just gotta stop, back away, go have lunch, come back and hit it again. Sometimes I'm not hydrated properly enough, so I'll hear a lot of clicking in my headset, just vocal clicks when I'm talking, and that'll make me upset too, so I'll pause, big glass of water, come back in, and go for it again. Do you make special marks on the books beforehand? If so, how? Nope, I do not make any marks on the book at all, because typically we're reading from a digital format. So I will read off a Kindle. We just prop that up, have the entire book right there, so it's just easy to swipe through, page to page to page. And as I said, making the marks beforehand, the sound doesn't come out as authentic as I want it to. The one caveat to that being that we will have to make a notation to ourselves, and usually we'll write it down on a piece of paper and leave it on the desk, and that's if there are certain words that need to be pronounced a certain way, like certain regions of the world or certain last names. That's about the only time that we'll make any kind of notes. Do I drink while narrating? Not typically. On occasion I'll go inside there with a beer. I actually believe working on, I think, hundreds? Yes, working on hundreds. I didn't drink during the recording process, but afterwards there was a scene inside there that I read that was so intense where coming out of the booth I went, I need a beer, I need a drink, I gotta just take the edge off this right now. And actually the same thing happened as well in Whispers and the Roars. There was a scene that I had to stop for about 3-4 minutes because I was crying so hard from the subject matter in that book. It was so intense and so heart-poundingly felt that I just had to stop. And like I said, as soon as I was done recording, I came on out, cracked me a tall boy, and just took that edge off. How many times do you need to read a chapter to say, I'm okay to do it, and how many times do you need to read a steamy scene? Ooh, a sexy, steamy scene. When it comes to how many times we read a chapter to say, okay, I'm ready to do it, we just read it the one time when we record. Or at least I do anyway. I'll read it. Kylie will like to go through and she'll skim the book a little bit and she'll just get usually page count per chapter so we kind of know what the load is going to be like going in for the day. But I will just read it that one time going through the chapter. Because as I said, if the person reading the book is going to be surprised by what's going on, I want that surprise to be in my voice as the narrator as well. I want to be shocked as they're being shocked as well, because it feels more authentic. As for sex scenes, sometimes I don't read the scene beforehand, but if I'm doing fill-ins for a sex scene, sometimes I'll have to do a couple takes of a line just to get the right amount of stress in the voice. Or in every single romance novel, there's always one part where somebody's going to go, I'm going to come. And so I might have to do that 2 or 3 times to get the right inflection and tone on that voice, the right amount of stress in your gut when you're tensing up from taking your partner to Pound Town. Let's see. Okay, does it get interesting when narrating a hot sex scene? Yes, it does. It gets very interesting. And usually, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just a bodily reaction to what's going on, but sitting inside the booth, we shut the air conditioner off inside here because, like as I said, the air vent is right above us, so I just try and cut that out. We live in Dallas, Texas, so it gets real hot, and usually during the sex scene, it gets really hot in the booth, and it's probably because I'm tensing up so hard to give certain lines and a certain impact, certain tone, that you just start to sweat like crazy. And yes, it gets interesting sometimes, and it gets very intense. Usually after doing a long scene like that, if it's one of Pepper Winter's books, typically those chapters are about 24 pages long. So it's a long chunk of text that you're going through, which is awesome. She has such great description inside of her books that usually by the end of it, I am totally gassed out. My energy has just gone down. I'll usually just be pouring buckets of sweat. It'll be blazing hot inside there. And if Kylie has to go in and record after me, usually we'll keep the air conditioner on for about half an hour and let the house cool back down. Otherwise, you go inside there and it feels like you're in a sauna. Let's see. Okay. How long does it typically take to produce an audiobook? It really depends on the size of the book, but most of the books that we do are around between 7 to 9 finished hours of audio. And that usually will take us, if we're really grinding hard and we're really just trying to crank it out right now, we can do that in about 7 days. Typically, though, for a normal, just run-of-the-mill audiobook, we will get that done in about a 1.5 to 2 weeks time period. We're usually allotted about a 1.5 months on ACX, but being that this is our full-time gig, we make extra time where it's needed to be able to essentially put a full 8 hours worth of work in each day. And whether that's recording or editing, it all comes out in the wash. So as I said, about 2 weeks time for start to finish total production, from recording to editing to firing it off to the author. Do you have a go-to character voice, or do you base them on the character description in the book? I do. I've got usually 3 voices that I will go to all the time. Number 1 is just my normal talking voice. The only variation that I really do on that is the cadence in which I speak. If it's more of an intense scene, I might speak a bit slower. I might hang on a certain word. If it's a lighter-hearted book, I might just read it as I'm talking to you right now. Just very light, not much breath to it. Just easy off the cuff. The two other voices that I go to are almost always my best friend voice. I pitch it up just a little bit higher like this and throw some gravel into it. That's the best friend voice. And then almost always the father of one of the characters. I usually drop the voice down right about here, and I give him a little bit more gravel as well, a little gravitas to the voice. So those are the three that I always go to. Beyond that, the variation doesn't change too much, save for when you're doing an accent. When you're doing an accent, I typically will just use my normal tone and just, you're talking in a different dialect or a different accent, so that difference between characters is innately there, especially if they're having a conversation. You know when one's talking, you know when the next one's talking. Do you do all your own proofing, editing, and mastering? Yes. Next question. How many edits do you go through? Well, that depends on the length of the book, and that depends on, I guess, the accuracy of our reading. Typically, when we have to do edits for the book, that's after we've sent it off to the author, and they've proofed it, and then they send us back the sheet of edits. Usually, we get away with about 1 to 1.5 sheets worth of edits, and usually that comes out to maybe 2 edits per every other chapter. So if it's a 28 chapter book, we might have 14 of those chapters, one word change here, or you made this word plural when it's supposed to be singular, kind of a thing. And I think the most recent book we did, we only had, I think, 2 edits total inside of it. So again, as I said, it comes down to length of the book and accuracy of our reading. It just kind of varies. Some authors like certain words pronounced certain ways. Some of them are very, very particular on regions of the world. If the book is set there, I might say it one way, Kylie might say it a different way. Some of them say it's got to be just this one way, or others might say, whatever, you said it the way you said it, just let it go. It's not that important. Who is your favorite character? You can only pick one, and why? Oh, who is my favorite character? Let's see. Oh, okay. My favorite character that I've gotten to read for is Dean Conrad Morello, and that is from the book The Boyfriend by Mika Jolie. His personality is very, very close to my own. The way he talks is very, very close to my own. Even the jokes that he makes are very, very similar to the jokes that I would make. His candor, his openness, it made for a very, very interesting and fun character. And the approach that I went to... Oh, all right, come on. No, give it to me. Got it. Yes, you lost it. The approach I took when going for that character, it was very, very natural. Very off the cuff. It felt like coming home. And his story in The Boyfriend it's very, very fun. There's a lot of fourth wall breaking inside that book. I don't want to go too far into it and spoil anything, but it will be hitting Audible soon, so please keep an eye out for it. He is my all-time favorite. What do you do to celebrate after you finish a book and or series? Bottle of wine and a couple of tall boys, usually. On occasion, we'll go and get the feast for 2 at this local Chinese restaurant that we really, really like, and it's more food than an army can handle. But we'll come on home, we'll put on some Netflix, binge watch a show, get good and toasty on some wine or a couple of beers, and eat to our heart's content Chinese food. So that is one way we celebrate. Do you listen to audios? And if you do, which are your favorite books? I do like to listen to audiobooks, and my favorites, I love the sci-fi genre. My favorite audiobook series that I've gotten to listen to, though, however, is the Halo audiobook series. If for any of my gamers out there, or anybody who knows what Halo is, it is a video game series centering around the character Master Chief, and the audiobooks for that series are phenomenal. They're very, very well done. They're very straightforward read. The guy who reads them almost has a militaristic sound to his voice, so it fits the subject matter very, very well. The novels themselves are incredibly written, and his performance, it's not a duet narration by any means. It's just one gentleman doing the recording. And I believe he's done most of them. I could not tell you his name off the top of my head, but that is my favorite series. And is there another one I like to listen to? I used to listen to a lot of children's books on audiobook. Back in the day, the ones where you'd hear the sound effect, the boom, turn the page, and go with that. Those were a lot of fun. I still have saved quite a few of them for my kids one day. I'm just going to have to try and find myself a tape player when it comes time to have kids. But anyway, guys, that is all the questions that Heather has provided for me today to answer for you. I hope this was informative. I hope that this gives you a bit of insight into what my wife, Kylie, and I do as audiobook narrators and as actors. It's been a super fun and rewarding career for both of us. We've met so many wonderful people, especially through AudioLoves. Heather and Aaron are two phenomenal people, as are the lot of you. And it's opened up a lot of doors for us. It's given us the opportunity to work in a full-time capacity, doing simply what we love. And that, to me, is invaluable. As I said, Kylie and I, we're both, as well as audiobook narrators, we're both actors as well. And this provides us time to be able to do a play, or I have an agency here in Dallas that I work with, the Campbell Agency, and gives me the opportunity to go out for auditions during the week when I need to. Or I worked last week, I had to go into a separate studio and do some recording. So doing audiobooks, it allows for that flexibility. And as I said, it's something that we both love very, very much. And just all glory to God that we're able to do this for full time. So anyway, again, my name is Eric Rolon. You can look me up on my website at ericrolon.com. I know, super original. You can also find either my fan page or my regular Facebook page on Facebook. Eric Rolon. One picture is smiling with teeth and one picture is smirking, mouth closed. I do have a YouTube channel which is called Angel Legend, and that's where I teach people how to make movie props or video game props and suits of armor from the Halo series. And I think that's it for... Oh, you can find me on Twitter. I guess ericrolon.com is my handle. And also on Instagram. So anyway, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day or weekend, whatever it is. This is going to be on YouTube, so you can watch it whenever you want to. So whatever day you happen to be having, I hope it's a wonderful one. Thank you so much for checking out this video, and please support your audiobook narrators. Please support your authors. Get on Amazon and buy up Whispers and the Roars, and buy up The Boyfriend, and buy up the Dollar series. And I guess till next time, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Take care.